speak about how to create a successful game with figurine art. Figurine art. I'm sorry. So please welcome JB, who will present.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. So yeah, my name is Jean-Baptiste, but you can call me JB. It's much easier. I'm a senior publishing manager at TapNation. So just a quick word about TapNation. What is TapNation? For those who don't know, TapNation is a HyperCasual publisher historically, and more a HyperCasual games creator. We have 3 or 4 games above 150 million downloads, and 85% of our games actually come from in-house ideation and ideas. So yeah, let's get on to it. So first of all, why am I speaking to you today? It's not just to brag about a success. It's more about to talk about a method to try and accomplish success in the hyper-casual world. Hyper-casual world is a tough world. 2-3 years ago, it was a land of opportunity, where if you had the right gameplay, the appeal to the end user, and a slightly above average execution, you were almost guaranteed to make medium to high success. Nowadays, it's a different story, since hypercasual has more and more players in it, more and more actors and competitors. It's tougher and tougher to reach the necessary KPIs. So it's a land of opportunity that has become a land of expertise. And this land of expertise means that you need to have some data-backed methods to reach success. Figurine art is a nice illustration, a nice case study of that story, and that's problematic. So let's just jump into it. So actually, figurine art is a game we've tried twice in 2021. And we've pitched this game to studios who tried executing it. And at its root, it was just a figurine assembly game that was relying on popular characters for its appeal, and trying to put as much of them as possible into the game to get long-term interest into it. The tests were not conclusive. It didn't perform quite well, so we dropped the project for 6 months to a year. And that's where it becomes interesting, because I was talking about method, about technique. And to me, the hyper-casual market has evolved in a way where to make a hit game, you need to, well, in my opinion, as a first priority, find the appeal, to try and convince users to be curious about what you're proposing, a theme to your game that appeals to them. And it's not just about slapping any popular theme on any gameplay. You have to find synergy between the theme and the gameplay. So if you're saying, oh, I found a concept that brings me a good CPI, a good cost per install, then I put another gameplay that has nothing to do with it, that I know is popular. It doesn't work that way anymore. What you need to do is to reason, why is there such an appeal to my game? Why are the users interested in this? And the users that are interested in this particular theme, what are they interested in else? What can I associate with it to actually find the right combination between theme and gameplay? Actually, we had a previous hit called Sneaker Art that appealed to, of course, sneaker fans out there, and there are quite a lot in the world. And sneaker fans are really have this fantasy of making their own sneakers. They're really passionate about sneakers that are made out there, and how colorful it is. It actually matches the hyper-casual criteria of looks and feels quite a lot. And the personalization of sneakers is something that was really popular with them. And to our mind came the fact that actually figurine lovers have the same kind of appeal to it. What they like about it is to have their favorite characters, personalize them, put accessories, paint them, position them, put them in a context. And however funny it seems that we could compare sneakers to figurines, it's actually quite similar in the way that people are passionate about it. And so we took this game that was one of our better KPIs games, and we benchmarked it and thought that with figurines, it was actually quite interesting. And so we wanted to try it, and both concepts seemed like solid potential, but it was just an intuition. We didn't have the data about it. So we went on, and at the same time, we had in-house developers, and we tried pitching the game and do it ourselves. And the first test, after 3 weeks, was interesting, It was good, not excellent. We had around 50 cents CPI and retention rates of 18%. This is, of course, not at all sufficient to be making a hit, but what it showed to us is that there was potential to do something about it. If there was nothing more that we could add, ideate, create about this game, then this would be it. But we felt like we found the point of interest for users that like figurines. So we had the appeal, which was the theme, the figurines, and it seems like we had like a start of long-term interest with the 18% retention. It's of course not enough, it's about half of what we need, but what we guessed was that we could go deeper into the personalization. The main point here of entry that was really interesting in terms of CPI and in terms of appeal was the painting of the figurines. Users could take their favorite characters from their youth, from their video games, from the movies they love, and actually, just dress them up in the colors they want. And this personalization feature was something that was quite engaging, but they got bored of it quite fast because we had high playtime, but low day one retention. It's not the lowest, but it was still too low. So we decided to delve deeper into the personalization feature. So, going back from the specific case of figurine art, this means that once you have the theme, that's good. You need to find the gameplay that goes with the theme. Why are people interested in this theme? And once you have this gameplay, if it's still not enough, you need to delve deeper into the roots of their interest. Their interest we noticed here was personalization. Well, we personalized the heck out of it. On the next iteration, what we did, we added 3 main steps. So basis of the game was you had a blank figurine in the first test, a blank figurine that you had to assemble and then paint. We added on top of that, positioning of the figurine, pedestal customization, and like shop exposing, showing like a wall of all the figurines you've done with passive earning and incremental earning on that. So that was quite interesting because this add-on in gameplay, these 3 new steps actually changed everything. It allowed us to go check long-term LTV and to go higher than there's just the 18% day one retention we saw. Sorry. And the main point here is that in terms of personalization possibilities for one given figurine, we went all in. This is all you can do with a figurine. So now the only thing it needed was more and more figurines that appealed to more and more things from your youth, passions, pop culture that you like. The test results confirmed what we supposed, what we thought about, and CPI went from $55 on 55 cents on Facebook to 30 cents on Facebook, and day one retention from 18% to 38%, which was amazing, and day 3 from 3% to 14%. So now the bet we made about why people were interested in this, why the appeal was there, was successful. Once that was done, it was all about polishing before launch, iterating on creatives, finding the exact figurines that appealed the most to the user base, finding the best, sweet spot for CPI, and also optimizing the game flow, how long each phase was, it took to do. And in the end, Huggy Wuggy and Spider-Man were the big winners of this polishing of the creatives. And all this learning also taught us what to add next to the game, because you're not just iterating on CPI, you're iterating on interest. And so we made creatives of characters that were not yet in the game, and if we noticed a good CPI, we added them in. So this is something important to keep in. All KPIs are linked. So if you're looking for CPI, you're getting learnings for retention. If you're working on retention, you're getting learnings for CPI. It's not just individual. Everything is connected, and you need to find the right synergy between all of this. So the main thing of the game now was to keep adding figurines to reinforce long-term retention, and in doing so, also finding new ways to do CPI. What happened then was launch. CPI just before launch was 30 cents and 41% day one retention because we added a lot of figurines and a lot of customization options, new paints to unlock, Of course, you all knew about the Warhammer craze there was a while back. So we added a lot of painting textures to make some funny characters and really, actually get away as much as possible from the IP, from the popular characters, to allow players to have fun with them and actually, paint them in an original way. And the success was huge. We went top 1 on store listings in Colombia, Sweden, Malaysia, Serbia, Belgium, Peru, and top 5 in 30 countries, including US, top 2, UK, top 3, and so on. So this success is the result of always trying to think about the reasons why you're achieving this or this KPI. If you're achieving good retention, you need to think about not how to improve it only, but just why am I getting big retention? What is important to the player? How come they're staying this long? Is it because there's new content? Is it because the new content you're adding is different from the latest one you had? Is it because you have a game flow that is actually quite smooth? You're playing and you're just going through the levels without seeing the time pass? How is it that you're acquiring this? And this method, to me, is really dependent on if the gameplay goes with the theme. We've tried, of course, on just any like puzzle game, runner, anything, just to slap a theme onto it, put a popular character, and this is not enough. What you need to do is to link the theme to the gameplay. This is, I know I've said it a lot, but this is very, very important. So yeah, this is how we achieved in this particular case, but what is important about this is that this game was made in-house, so that's 100% revenue share. It was our first in-house success and actually paved the way for us to not only be a publisher but also a game creator. And the expertise we're gaining from all the tests we're doing, all the research we're doing, we're delivering them to studios, but we're also of course delivering them to ourselves. And the main point about this is that in a market that is getting tougher and tougher, the KPIs are even harder to reach. So when you reach one of them, it's not just, oh, wow, I was so lucky, let's try again. It's going to the roots, understanding the appeal, understanding the long-term interest, even the short-term interest. You can have an amazing game with a great day 1 and a shitty day 2. But the thing is that you need to have a method. And this method, to me, is just by analyzing consumer behavior. And if you analyze trends, not in the timeline, not in how many competitors are on it, but ask yourselves why. The why, to me, is the biggest thing that nobody asked themselves in the beginning of HyperCasual, and that is necessary, essential today, is why is it popular? Why are they playing? Why am I getting top 1 in some countries? And so, where the market before was something that, HyperCasual was something that you could actually just stumble into success. You were trying out something and wow, 1 million downloads, 10 million downloads. This is not the case anymore. There's no accidents in HyperCasual anymore, and this is why the major publishers, major actors are cutting down on costs in HyperCasual, going maybe towards hybrid puzzle and stuff like this, because it's tougher. But high risk means high reward, and the more you try, the more you build your expertise, the more you acquire data on important things. And it's important to compile all this, surround yourselves with the best tools there are, and reach the success. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This was amazing to see not just the results, but the process and how you go through that. So I've got a ton of questions to ask, but I would like to give space to you. In that case, I will take a chance. So I have seen many games being killed, but your case, you mentioned at the beginning that you have killed it like a year ago, and then suddenly you picked it out of the drawer. So how are you thinking about like killing games, and then why did you decide to revive something that was like, this is rest in peace? So what's the like thought process, and why this decision was made?
Yeah, well, you're right in the case that in most cases in HyperCasual, when a game doesn't yield good results, it's killed and you don't talk about it anymore. You move on, and this is important to know how to let go of your game if you don't see potential. But the matter of fact here is that HyperCasual is deeply linked to trends in the real world, if I may, and to interests of people day to day. And figurines, with the growth of the interest in the pop figurines that we're seeing all over, and how people loved painting Warhammers back in the time, and there's a deep, deep, deep interest in figurines. And to me, it was more about we didn't find the right way to appeal to that interest. If you have a failure that is linked to a real life interest that has big market share, you need to think about the reasons why you fail also. I was saying during the whole presentation all the time, why you succeed is important, but why you fail is like even more important actually, to learn from your mistakes, to get some experience about it. And here, the reason why we failed was not the theme, was not the figurines themselves. We knew that because we saw millions of people having figurines, painting them, building them, and so that was not the problem. The problem was the gameplay that went with the theme. And this is what you need to find if you're 100% sure that there is potential in the theme.
Thank you. Amazing.
So hello. You were saying that the most important question is why, and I want to ask, how do you answer these questions? Like, is it just about asking the participant or the players what do they like, or do you have like top secret tactic that you want to share, that how to answer this question?
So it's a very good question. There's no surefire way to find the exact way to present the appeal you've noticed with in the best possible way. But market research is essential. Knowing what works, knowing what people like. If it's something that works in a similar way as your idea, then it's essential to inspire yourself from it. And also, one of the biggest questions you must ask yourself is just that if you see there's something popular in the real world, what are people doing with it? Figurines are sold all over the world, and that's great. So what are people doing with figurines? There's 3 types of figurines. There's the pop figurines, so you just expose them on a shelf. You maybe assemble them. So that's one thing. That's one part of the gameplay. There's the Warhammer figurines. You paint them, you draw them themselves, you choose the colors. That's one part of the gameplay. And so that was the how in this particular case. But this is linked to this particular situation. In general, I would have to say that, for instance, let's take something. Let's say we noticed that Minecraft is a huge potential, huge game. You want to make a hyper-casual game out of it. Hyper-casual, so you cannot make just a cheap version of Minecraft because Minecraft already exists and it's good. So what you have to see is, what do people who like Minecraft also like? And what you see from this is that you'll have many different directions in which to go in, and you try every single one of them, and one of them will work. And this is actually a true story, since one of my most recent hits is based on that.
Thank you for that. More questions? So I will use the opportunity again. So speaking now wide, last year iOS changed the data transparency and how you can evaluate the campaigns. So regarding generally about I see many studios like Casual and above are struggling with the transparency, not seeing like really what's the ROAS and everything around that. So the what has been the impact on the hyper casual space? Like this change that iOS has done, has it helped the hyper casual games, or the other way, like damaged them?
So actually, this was quite dramatic when it happened at first, meaning that there was less much incentive to test and to publish games on iOS. However, this left room for Android to grow as huge as it is right now. And now it has been some time since then, and tools that you work with have adapted themselves to this. For European countries and some others, there's the whole GDPR process also, where you find different layouts, different UI that gives you consent for it, so that actually bypasses it. And yeah, it was a first impact, but it was also something that set apart professionals from semi-professionals. Those who had the resources to find different ways to get around this constraint. And so it hurt the market for sure, but it also, in my opinion, made it more interesting, because the more difficult something becomes, the more interesting it is.
Okay, thank you.